UFC Vegas 108 is this weekend, my boys, and it's going down in the Apex. We're back in the Apex, unfortunately, and today I'm going to be giving y'all my full card predictions and breakdown. And the summer for fight fans ended up being pretty solid. Like, you got a couple of stinker cards here and there, but relatively, it was pretty good. And the thing is, the fall is going to be stacked. The fall is looking good. We have crowded fight nights coming back once again, and we have really stacked pay-per-views. At least they seem like they're going to be really stacked pay-per-views on the horizon, but unfortunately right now, before 319 and all the rest of the pay-per-views for the fall, and we're coming off of a pretty hot summer, like, we're dealing with back-to-back Apex cards. It is what it is. And this card specifically, I think we're going to see a lot of exciting fights and a lot of exciting finishes, but the whole main event switched up out of nowhere. We were going to have Waldo Cortez Acosta stepping in, and now we have this, and it is what it is. There's really no name value on this card. It's a bit of a stinker of a card. I think it's going to be fun to watch, but it is a stinker Apex card, and we have about the same exact thing next week. It's an unfortunate 2-week kind of rough patch we're in, but then we're eating good. So we're dealing with this. We're just going to have to watch through it, boys. Unfortunately, or maybe go out with your friends, something like that. But giving y'all my full card predictions and breakdown for this one. And we're starting off with Felipe Bunes taking on Rafael Estevam here. My early prediction is going to be Estevam. He's unfucking defeated. And Bunes, don't get me wrong, he is a solid fighter. He has a lot of submission wins here, but he is only 1-1 in the UFC as of right now. Earlier this year, he got a round 1 submission via armbar over Jose Johnson. And listen, that's a solid win to have to start off the year. And before that, the only time he fought was in the UFC was against Joshua Van. He got knocked the hell out by Van. And Van, who's the literal #1 fucking contender right now, has already fought probably like 5 times since he fought Felipe Bunes. So that's crazy as fuck to say, the activity of Joshua Van. But I don't think there's any shame in losing to Van. But I just feel like that Rafael Estevam, he's not the most entertaining fighter in the world. He's not the craziest prospect to invest in. You look at that 13-0 record and you think he's going to be a fucking absolute marauder. You push up your Joe Rogan glasses here. And he's young. He's undefeated, 2-0 in the UFC. He's a promising flyweight prospect who seems to have really good wrestling credibility. The dude's from Brazil and he's representing the wrestling kind of pedigree they have there. He's a bit of a decision merchant right now in the UFC, but that doesn't mean he can't get fucking finishes. But Felipe Bunes on the other end, he does have a high-level submission game. I mean, high-level relatively here, but the guy knows how to get his fair share of submissions. But I think he has limited power on the feet. I think that's going to hold him back a bit. And the fact that he's kind of a bit of the older fighter here with a lot less momentum on his side, I feel like he's the less athletic fighter in general. I'm just going to be going with Estevam, man. He's got a lot more momentum, more of a well-rounded skill set, and I feel like he's kind of this people forget man kind of guy. Not a lot of people are talking about him, and I think there are a bit of holes in his game to where I don't think his striking is too crazy, and I think if he's going against a high-level enough fighter, a well-rounded enough guy, or someone who's a really good heavy pressure fighter and knows how to set a high pace from the start, and a good enough grappler to be able to hang in the scrambles and test his composure in there, like, I think that Estevam, I don't think he's going to be a top 5 level guy, but I think he's going to be getting past Felipe Bunes here in the early fucking prelims. Moving on up next down the card to Rodolfo Vieira taking on Gore, and I actually really fucking like this matchmaker for this one. I'm going with a crafty pick here, and in the underdog around a plus 180 range for Gore. Now, I picked this guy in his last outing to beat Marco Tulio. He was a bigger underdog for that one, but that might not have been my smartest fucking choice of a pick, okay? Like, I like Gore. I think he's solid. The guy has a good guillotine. I think that in general, his submissions are good. His striking is solid, but he's very hittable on the feet. Like, against Marco Tulio specifically, and we saw it even against Cody Brundage, he got knocked the fuck out, but Marco Tulio specifically, like, I understand that Marco Tulio, he's very dynamic on the feet. He's very versatile. He throws a lot of shit at you. He's very good with spinning back kicks. He's got mean stepping elbows. The guy's got a nice one too. Like, Marco Tulio is dangerous and he hits hard, but Gore, he only landed about 20-ish significant strikes in that fight, while Tulio landed 130 and knocked him down twice. So Gore, and then again, getting knocked out by Cody Brundage. He has 2 submission wins in the UFC, and both are via guillotine, and I like that for Gore. But when you look at his overall record, and especially in the UFC, you think he might not be all that, but I think that Rodolfo Vieira, I think that he is a winnable enough opponent here. Now, what these guys both have in common is that they seem to lose to solid competition, and they're beating everybody the fuck else. Like Rodolfo Vieira, he has nice wins. He beat Cody Brundage, who knocked out Gore. He beat Armin Petrosian, and that's a solid win, you know what I mean? So Rodolfo Vieira, he's only lost to Andre Petroski. He's a solid fucking fighter, well-rounded, good grappling. Chris Curtis, we all know fucking Chris Curtis. Anthony Hernandez, great prospect on the rise. So those are Vieira's only losses in the UFC, and all of his fucking wins, he has about 3 times as many wins as Gore in the UFC, but all of them are via submission. So the guy is versatile and dangerous on the ground, and Gore, 2 submission wins in the UFC, and his only losses are to Tulio, dangerous prospect on the rise, Cody Brundage, hey man, people forget this guy fought at UFC 300, he's a fucking marauder, and Brian Battle, who's a great prospect to invest in. So it seems like these guys have similar parallels styles in their careers, like all submission wins, only losing to a very similar level of competition. It just seems like Vieira has had a lot more success in the UFC and time in the UFC, and don't get me wrong, he is the favorite here. I feel like he's the much more safe pick, so I feel like if you're a betting man, it might be fucking smarter to go with Rodolfo Vieira, but me, myself, I'm a betting man, but I'm going to trust in that plus money for Gore. If he loses this one, he's probably going to get cut from the UFC, which is unfortunate, because I think his skill set is fucking solid. I don't think he's ever going to be a ranked fighter, and Rodolfo Vieira, you know, I don't think he's a crazy level to invest in either, but both these guys, they are fucking solid. They're submission artists. I think it's good matchmaking here. I think it's going to end in some kind of fucking finish. I'm going to be trusting in Gore to get this one done via fighting for his fucking career. And a big reason too why I'm going with Gore is because I feel like the way that people are beating him is via devastating knockout power. Like Tulio and Brundage, not that they're the hardest hitters in the world, they're the most elite strikers, but they're able to crack a guy like Gore. And Gore otherwise is able to hang in scrambles. He's got good wrestling. He's got good takedown defense relatively here. And he's able to hang in the pocket with a lot of guys. But again, it's just his chin isn't crazy. But I don't think Vieira has the knockout power, necessary to be able to take out a guy like Gore. Vieira, his path to victory here, same as Gore, is to aim for some kind of submission. But I think that the striking of Gore, the big bad USA striking, is a little bit more crisp and a little bit harder hitting than Vieira. So I'm going to trust in that to be able to get him through here. So I'm going with Gore. A little bit of a crafty pick by me here. Okay, moving on up next to the Japanese superstar. We got two Japanese superstars on this card, but Rinya Nakamura, man, 9-1, taking on another prospect in Nathan Fletcher, 9-2. Now both of these motherfuckers, they were riding a bit of highs, all right? If you're the hardcores and pushing up your glasses, like you were invested in Nakamura and Fletcher, but the thing is, they're both coming now off of losses. So my pick here is going to be the much fucking massive favorite, Rinya Nakamura, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a bit concerned here, okay? Because Nakamura in his last outing, he was also a massive fucking favorite, and he lost. Now, I know Fletcher's coming off a loss as well, but the thing about Nakamura is his biggest strength, the biggest fucking tool in his arsenal, his biggest fucking weapon necessary here is his wrestling. He has damn near 100% takedown accuracy. He's got solid takedown defense in general. The guy looks good in all these scrambles, man, and he seems to be very efficient on the ground at controlling guys and just beating them up down there. The wrestling is his bread and butter. That's how he gets shit done. His striking, it's okay, but it's really not all that. He doesn't have too much knockout power, and in general, he doesn't have a lot of output on the feet. His striking, it's all right, but in general, like his wrestling is his bread and butter, and he threw one takedown in his last fight. One fucking takedown. He all of a sudden got in a big pay-per-view in the early prelims, and he didn't know how the fuck to act, because man, he's trying to mix it up on the feet and trying to be all flashy, but it's just that he was getting outlanded, he was getting outstruck, and the one takedown he did have, he got fucking stuffed. So in general, Rinya Nakamura didn't utilize the wrestling like he usually does in all the UFC fights he's had. So I think he's going to be coming into this fight against Nathan Fletcher looking to go back to, I don't want to say his roots, but his whole fucking style here, man. Like he utilizes his really good Japanese fucking wrestling, and you look at Nathan Fletcher's last performance, again, he's also coming off a loss, and I do think that Fletcher is a solid fighter. He's solidly well-rounded, and he's a prospect worthy of kind of investing in, but I just think that Nakamura is going to be too much in the grappling department, man, because in his last performance for Fletcher, he got taken down 6 fucking times and ultimately lost that fight via a decision. And again, I think Fletcher is one of these fighters that is solid, but he's an example of a fighter who is good and can get a win here, but it's an example of how good the UFC fucking level is, man, because these are the early fucking prelims, and these are the guys that are far from the rankings right now, and they're just prospects trying to make a name for themselves, and they're already this fucking well-rounded. And I just think that Rinya Nakamura, his striking isn't all that, and his last loss was a lot more devastating to fucking watch than Nathan Fletcher's last loss, but I just think that his wrestling is going to be too much, too dominant. He's really efficient down there, and even though ever since he got to the UFC, he's been lacking that finishing ability a bit, he does still have solid ground and pound, and I think that he's going to be able to get this one done via a 29-28 decision here, man. So moving on up next to the fight of all time, baby. We got Nick Klein taking on Andre Pulyaev, and both these guys seem to have a bit of a parallel going on so far in their UFC careers. They had pretty dominant and impressive appearances on the Contender Series, and then for their actual UFC debuts, they came up short. Pretty fucking dominant, not pretty dominantly, but fucking Klein got finished, and Pulyaev got fucking outstruck about 4 times as much, so as he was landing. So it is what it is. Both these guys are actually trying to get a win so far in the UFC, kind of fighting for their fucking careers here, and the betting odds from what I can see are very fucking close. I don't even know who's the favorite. It says from my point of view it's a pick'em. I'm sure it's going to change, or it's not that right now, but in my opinion, I'm going to be going with Nick Klein. I'm going to be going with Nick Klein here. I do like the submission game of Nick Klein. I think it is solid, and again, in the Contender Series appearance alone, he made quick fucking work. It was an impressive way to make a fucking presence known in the UFC, but in general, against Mansur Abdul Malik, I rate that guy pretty fucking solidly. Like, I think he's a solid striker. He seems to be well-rounded. I'm pretty sure he's unfucking defeated. I mean, Klein did land some damage fucking early. He almost got a knockdown early in the fight with the spinning fucking elbow, and in general, he did have a couple of moments. The striking numbers were close. He got a fucking takedown in, so the fight was competitive until Abdul Malik ended up fucking exploding on him and had a relentless fury of combinations and fucking took him the hell out of there in the second round. So until that, Klein was looking solid. So Nick Klein, I feel like, is just going to be too much here. He seems to be able to hang on the feet with guys with solid fucking power and striking, and his submissions seem to be clean enough to where I could see him fucking taking out Pulyaev via some kind of submission or decision here. Because for Pulyaev, I feel like he's going to be the harder hitting striker. He's got solid boxing and range control as he showed in the Contender Series, and I feel like he has the size and reach advantage here, but I feel like his lack of activity and poor output on the feet is just going to be the thing that holds him back. Even though he hits kind of solidly fucking hard, the activity and output from him is just so very on and off, because in the Contender Series appearance, he was lighting up his fucking opponent. He was beating him the hell up with mean combinations and strikes, and then against Christian Leroy Duncan, he seemed to just be fucking standing in front of him like a fucking punching bag. You know in Smash Bros, how you go into the training center mode and you're fucking just beating up the punching bag? That is what Pulyaev was to Christian Leroy Duncan, and I know that Leroy Duncan, I know he's a solid fucking prospect as well, but in general, it seems that Pulyaev just has a lack of finishes in the higher tier kind of level of MMA. His takedown attempts kind of just lack the proper setup to really go all the way through there, and I think that Klein is going to be too much on the ground. I think he's going to be able to hang on the feet. He seems to be solidly durable. I know he's coming off a knockout loss, but I'm going to be trusting in Klein to get this one done. A little bit less experience overall, but I'm going to be trusting in him to be able to hang in the pocket with Pulyaev. He's going to be able to throw more output and activity in the striking, and it's going to be able to maybe take him down a couple of times and be able to get that submission or decision win. So I'm going with Nick Klein, man. So moving on up next to the main card here, we got prospect versus prospect. 10-1 Danny Silva versus 15-1 the Argentinian Kevin Vallejos. And Vallejos is a massive fucking favorite. I don't think he should be this big of a favorite. He's a damn near minus 500 around that fucking range, but I'm going to be going with Vallejos, man. I'm going to be going with the Argentinian to get this one done. Both these guys are so fucking young. They're kind of like the age to where you're stacking up two of each other on top to get in the goddamn movie theater, because you got 28-year-old prospect on the rise, damn near undefeated, Danny Silva. He has 5 KOs, 0 submissions, but he's a really precise boxer with good takedown defense. He's got good cardio and durability, and he's able to push through these really high-paced decisions. I like what I see out of him. He is a bit of a decision merchant in the UFC, but the guy is still throwing a solid amount of volume and output. He still is landing pretty clean. He still is fucking cracking his opponents. He still is making it pretty fucking competitive, and the guy knows how to go the distance, but also hang at a pretty fucking high pace, and he's got excellent distance control. Again, good takedown defense. So on paper, the guy is a well-rounded fighter, but I think the problems here for Danny Silva and why I think he's going to come up short is because he just lacks the one-punch knockout power. For Danny Silva, only one knockdown in the UFC, even though he's landed hundreds of fucking strikes, and he's taking these guys to these back and forth fucking wars and decisions like some Goku versus Frieza. I just think this guy, even though he's a solid striker, there's just a bit of holes in his game, man. Like, he just seems to have a non-existent submission game or really any offense on the ground in general. He could be neutralized against, I feel like, aggressive enough volume strikers or guys who are really good at closing the distance. So, again, the lack of finishing ability in general, and I just feel like, even though he is durable and even though he has good cardio, I just feel like the power, the youth, the momentum, the explosivity, everything from Kevin Vallejos' end is going to be too fucking much. We haven't really seen anything from the ground from him yet, but his ferocious fucking knockout ability and his strong striking output, he's young and explosive, and he's able to maintain a heavy pressure early. I think it's going to be too much for Danny Silva here, man. I mean, again, we don't really know how he is, kind of dragged into the deeper waters. We don't really know how Vallejos is when he's facing someone who's a really high-level wrestler or is really making him very uncomfortable on the ground, or again, the fight kind of drags out. So we don't really know. We have to see how Kevin Vallejos is. He can be vulnerable when he's kind of pressured in tight exchanges, and he can be shut down a bit there, but I think that the pressure and the power and the momentum, the youth, the explosivity, everything is going to be too fucking much for Danny Silva here, man. But I'm going to be trusting in Vallejos to get this one done. He's got a great record, and he's a great prospect in general to invest in, and we're going to find out a lot about him over fucking time, but he seems to be exciting as hell here, man. Moving on up next to a fight that truly belongs in the Apex. It reeks of the goddamn vibes. You have the king of the undisputed king of the Apex, Neil Magny, taking on Zaleski dos Santos. And another thing about this fight, it reeks of a decision vibe. I definitely feel like it's going to be going the distance no matter who is the winner of this one. I'm going to be going with the underdog here in Magny, though. It's definitely an Unk versus Unk matchup here. A veteran versus veteran matchup, to say the fucking least. Both these guys have so much fucking experience combined here, man. But I'm going with the dog in Magny, honestly. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if Dos Santos wins this fight no matter what here. But Magny has a few things going from here. And honestly, I like the level of competition that he's losing to more so than the competition that is defeating Dos Santos, to where I feel like that does matter. I feel like that's kind of a genuine factor here, because when both these guys are fighting pretty fucking active for as many fights and as much damage as they fucking taken in their careers, they're relatively kind of active fighters, and they're kind of parallels of each other as well. They kind of started out pretty strong in the UFC, young, promising, on the fucking rise, on a bit of a win streaks here and there, and then, you know, they kind of became these win one, lose one kind of fighters, and then on a bit of losing streaks here and there, and then they go back to winning, and, you know, and now they're here. They are the veterans of the fucking game, and they're in the fucking apex. They're a bit of parallels to each other, but Magny is kind of losing to the Ian Garys, who's one away from a title shot, the Michael Morales around the same level, a fucking Carlos Prates, like shit like that. Like, he's fighting these guys who are knockout artists, not as much Ian Gary, but I should say great, fantastic strikers on the fucking rise. And you have Dos Santos, who's losing to solid competition for sure, but I just don't think it's to the level of, like, the guys that Magny is losing to are the guys that are running the top fucking 8 right now, and Dos Santos is losing to just like the solid amount of fighters, you know, solidly well rounded here and there, but whatever the fuck. Like, they're not bad losses, but they're so fucking frequent, just as frequent as Magny as of late. Don't get me wrong, both these guys have lost about 4 of their last 5, each of them, so they're not in great spots for their careers right now. They're looking for kind of a bounce back win. I feel like this is kind of a low stakes matchup, to where it's not going to be super high pace, it's not going to be a bunch of intense scrambles, it's not going to be these two getting in the fucking pocket trying to beat the absolute fucking brakes out of each other. It's going to be maintaining the distance, finding each other's range, like really just kind of piecing each other up for the judges' scorecards more so than trying to finish. And I would love to see a finish here. If Magny wants to go out there and use the same ground and pound and fucking elite cardio and fucking experience levels that he showed against Mike Mallet, being Mike Mallet's only defeat, by the way, in the UFC. Shout out fucking Magny for that. That's a vintage, I sound like Michael Cole, a vintage Magny win. But seriously, like, that goes to show that Magny really is capable, even nowadays, of getting fucking wins. So if he wants to use some of that ground and pound, and if Zaleski wants to use some of that aggressive striking and power that he has known to show, because we know that he has that in his back pocket, he's gonna move the fuck forward and try and aim possibly for a knockout here, maybe some heavy body kicks, explosive hooks, whatever the fuck it may be, but he's gonna try and crack Magny, hopefully some kind of finish here, because again, when you have these fights that do kind of reek of that Apex vibe, sometimes it's not too fun to fucking watch here, but hopefully this is a fun fucking little scrap we got. Unk versus Unk, I'm going with Magny here. I feel like Magny is going to have the reach and height advantage here. He's going to have the cardio advantage and probably the grappling advantage in general here. He's pretty good at takedown control and neutralizing opponents if they're not very fucking elite on the ground, but there's a couple weaknesses for Magny as well. Like, again, there's a reason why he's the underdog. He has lower finishing power by fucking far here, and also he's a bit fucking vulnerable on the defensive end of things. He can get cracked, he can get caught. He's not the best in the aggressive end of things if he's fucking getting in the pocket with somebody who hits solidly fucking hard like Zaleski Dos Santos here. So there's a reason why a lot of people are kind of going the other way with Dos Santos here, but I'm going to be trusting in the elite veteran that is fucking Magny, the king of the Apex here, man. So moving on, up next to one of these sneaky good bangers on the card, we got Elvis Brener taking on Estevam Ribovics. You look at the underdog money for Elvis Brener, you look at him as like a plus 250, and I mean, you look at him coming off of those back-to-back losses, but man, I really do think that that's kind of good money to invest in. I am very tempted to go with Elvis Brener. I know he's 16-5. I know he's coming off of a bit more devastating losses here than Ribovics is. I mean, Ribovics is coming off of a very competitive back and forth fight of the night split decision that some people thought that Ribovics won, and meanwhile, Brener has been coming off of 2 back-to-back losses, and one of them is via a vicious knee knockout. So I understand why he's the underdog here, but honestly, I could see a lot of people going with Brener. I am very tempted to go with him here, and I feel like that his ground game is a bit underrated. It's a bit untapped. I mean, people forget, man, most of these guys' fucking wins are via submission here, but we just really haven't seen that yet for the UFC. But I'm going to be going with Estevam Ribovics here, man. Another big Argentinian favorite on the card. We seem to have a fucking few here, but both these guys are very young. They're prospects on the fucking rise here, but they seem to be at a bit of a bump in the road. But Elvis Brener, 27 years old, Estevam Ribovics, 29 years old, and both these guys are fucking exciting, man, and they're very comfortable hanging in a brawl-heavy setting. I mean, Elvis Brener was getting getting in the fucking pocket, and he was getting scrappy with Joel Alvarez. And Esteban Ribovics, I mean, his last performance against Nasrat Nasrat, you know who the guy that robbed Jared Gordon. You know what the fuck I'm talking about, okay? In that last performance against split decision, it ended up being a great fucking fight, though. So Ribovics is exciting. And before that, one of the fight of the year contenders. I mean, one of the fight of the decade contenders against Daniel Sahuber at the Noche UFC fight. You know which fight I'm talking about. You and your buddies and even your mother knows what I'm talking about. So Ribovics, overall in the UFC, he's had a pretty entertaining career, but especially in his past couple of outings. And Brener, even though he keeps coming up short, I mean, both these guys know how to make a brawl heavy setting. Both these guys hit fucking solidly hard. A majority of their wins are via finish. And again, like I was mentioning earlier for Brener, I'm surprised that we really, the ground game for him is a bit untapped and untouched in the UFC. I mean, don't get me wrong, we've seen a few of his fights, like he mixes it up a couple of times and he's able to get a few takedowns in, but I feel like in general, for as many submission wins as he does have, I'm surprised that he doesn't mix it up more. The guy, he's got solid takedown defensive wrestling, he's got solid defensive grappling in general, he's really persistent as well, like he fights at a really high pace, but I just feel like in general, he's not going to be the accurate or powerful enough striker to really be able to get the better of Ribovics on the feet here. Like the guy's going to be probably the better grappler here. That's going to be his bread and butter for this fight. I feel like his best advantage is here to try and get this one done is to be able to mix it up on the ground, because Ribovics, he's got solid takedown defense, but it isn't anything fucking crazy. Like he's much going to prefer this fight to be on the feet. He's a dangerous, aggressive striker. He lands a very high output. He's got high finishing ability. He's durable and he's tough. I mean, again, we've seen him in fucking back and forth wars, but he also knows how to get his fair share of knockouts here. So even though he's at a slight reach disadvantage, and even though he is a heavy pressure fighter that might be able to, you know, kind of bite him in the ass, because if he's able to be controlled in the grappling heavy approach from Elvis Brener, I could see the heavy pressure biting him in the ass. But I feel like the knockout power and just the explosivity and just setting the much higher pace, and I think that his takedown defense is going to be good enough to hang with Elvis Brener. I'm going with Esteban Ribovics to get this one done. I'm saying like a late knockout. Ribovics is going to be quicker on the feet, and I feel like he's going to be too fucking much, and it's going to be overloading him with pressure and power. And Brener, again, he's going to want to really try and take this fight to the ground, really aim for some kind of submission, or at least control Ribovics or neutralize him and stop all the power shots and the frenzy he's going to fucking throw at him, all the massive combinations, because again, Ribovics is comfortable in a dogfight. I know Brener is as well, but he's going to want to try and neutralize Ribovics and take him to the ground. But I just think that Ribovics' takedown defense is going to be too much, and I could see a second or third round knockout for Ribovics here. Moving on up next to the co-main event for this card. Again, when this is the co-main event, this is going to be a great fight. This is good matchmaking, but A, the fact that this is in the Apex, and B, the fact that it's the co-main event of a card goes to show that it's not the most relatively strong card. But Jesus, this is a banger. This is an exciting fight, but I don't understand how this is a co-main in the big 2025, but it is what it fucking is. Mateusz Rebecki here, man, coming off a fantastic win over one of the greatest fights most people have ever fucking seen against Mayatek Orabai, going down for UFC 308. He's coming off a great win, and he's the favorite here, taking on Chris Duncan, who's also on a little bit of a win streak right now. Back-to-back guillotine chokes in the first and second round here. But Chris Duncan, both these guys, I mean, in general, are great finishers. They're very entertaining to watch. They know how to get the fans' fucking attention. They're well-rounded, and they're dangerous in all regards. I mean, Chris Duncan, he's got his fair share of submissions in the UFC, but he's also got some power behind his fucking shots. But I'm going with Mateusz Rebecki as my pick. I mean, I feel like there's a reason why he's the favorite, and I'm just a lot more impressed with his career so far in the UFC in general. Like, you got Chris Duncan getting knocked out by Vyacheslav Borshev in the Contender Series, and he's bounced back great from that ever since. He's got 5 wins in general in the UFC ever since then, and only 1 loss, and that was to Manuel Torres, who's a great prospect. But Mateusz Rebecki on the other end here, man, I know he's got the height and reach disadvantage here, but he's facing that kind of a lot of time in his fucking fights, and especially in his last outing. But he's only lost 1 time in the UFC, and all of his other fights, I mean, he's got 5 fucking wins. So the same as Chris Duncan, but I feel like I'm just a bit more impressed out of what I'm seeing out of him, and I feel like he's facing a bit of better level of competition. It's a bit fucking similar, but when you're beating Orabai, I feel like that's a better win than any of the wins that Chris Duncan has had so far yet in the UFC. So both these guys are heavy finishers. They're dangerous as fuck in all regards. They're very well rounded, because Rebecki is in the same regard. Like, yeah, he can go the distance here and there, but in general, like, he has the power to knock out guys in the feet. He has the good enough grappling to really be able to get submissions and good takedown entries and be able to mix it up efficiently and keep his opponents fucking guessing. Rebecki sets a very high pace and pressure from the fucking start. He throws a lot of output on the feet. Again, being able to have one of the best fights most people have ever fucking seen against Orabai. We got to see a bunch of grappling and scrambles in that fight. We got to see a bunch of heavy landing exchanges on the feet where both guys were rocking each other. So Rebecki is comfortable in the dogfight scenario, and Chris Duncan is a finisher in all regards. So this is going to be a fucking scrap, but I feel like Chris Duncan, his takedown defense, it's not all that. I feel like Rebecki's going to have the clear grappling advantage here. I know that Chris Duncan, like I'm saying, he's well-rounded and he can get his fair share of submissions, but I think Rebecki is just the more proven grappler. I think he's just going to be too strong for him on the ground. I think his takedowns are going to be a little bit too accurate for him here. And I feel like Chris Duncan as well shows a bit of potential gas take concerns if he does get taken down consistently throughout the fight or if it drags on long enough. So there's a bit of concerns here in Chris Duncan's game that makes me really want to go with Rebecki here because he's a dual threat fucking finisher. He's effective with submissions. He's effective with his power. He's a high level takedown efficiency and good takedown defense as well in his back pocket. And again, even though he's slightly limited here in the reach and the height, I feel like his power and explosivity is going to be too fucking much, and he's coming off a great win here to where, yes, it's concerning he lost to Diego Vieira via fucking knockout. Vieira is good, but I don't think he's all fucking that, so that is a bit concerning, but that's really the only stain on his fucking record in the UFC. So I'm going to be trusting in Rebecki to get this one done and then make his way to a ranked opponent after this. I say a 29-28 decision or a fucking knockout, or a submission. You don't really fucking know, Rebecki, but it's going to be exciting either fucking way. So, moving on up next to the main event of the evening here, man. It's not the strongest card, and this kind of goes to show here, but this isn't a bad fight. I actually do like this fight. This is good matchmaking. Respect to both of these guys for taking this on, I mean, not really short notice. They both had fights coming up, but they're both fucking taking this fight specifically at short notice. So respect to both of them. Kind of saving the card here. Again, not too great of a card, but Tatsuro Taira, ranked in the top 5, is taking on Hyung Sung Park, who is only 2-0, I believe, in the UFC. He's 10-0 overall, though. He's a young, hungry, promising prospect on the rise. Very high finishing ability. Very well fucking rounded. Strong submission game, and he's repping South Korea proudly. And South Korea is a nation, I'll fucking tell you what, do not to push up my glasses here, but they've been doing really well in the UFC over the past few months. And it's been significant. It's been multiple fucking fighters. Not anything in that top 5 of the rankings kind of vibe, but they've been doing fantastic. And Park is a great prospect, man. And it sucks that the thing I don't like about this matchup is that it sucks that we're getting it right now. Like, I would have liked to see Tatsuro Taira get a couple more fights. You know what I mean? Maybe get a title shot in the meantime if he keeps on winning, because he's 16-1. Had a pretty decisive back and forth fucking battle. Some Goku versus Frieza shit against Brandon Royval. A fantastic fight. Tatsuro Taira took a couple of rounds off of him. And that goes to show Joshua Van, even the new #1 contender. Like, even he, I mean, Royval wasn't really mixing it up. We didn't see really anything on the ground in that fight, but comparatively. But Joshua Van was able to make it still competitive against Royval. Royval is a dog worthy of hanging with these young fucking bucks. I don't think it's anything bad against Tatsuro Taira, the fact that he lost to Brandon Royval. That's my whole point here. He makes it competitive against the champ at times, like Alexander Pantoja. He takes a round off of fucking Joshua Van, arguably 2 for some people. Like, Royval's good. There's no shame in Tatsuro Taira having a very close competitive fight with him. I feel like Royval was really piecing him the fuck up on the feet in that fight, and I feel like, you know, when Tatsuro Taira, he's getting TKOs over guys like Alex Perez, that's one thing, but when he's facing a decent enough level of striker like a Brandon Royval, or, I mean, even Hyung Sung Park, man, he's more so of a grappler, he's more so of a submission artist, but he does have a couple of fucking knockouts in his back pocket, and he hits solidly hard for flyweight here, man, so I like the prospect in Hyung Sung Park. I just wish that he could have had a couple more wins as well, and then he would have got this opportunity. Like, the fact that he's unranked, the fact that there's a big experience gap between these two. Like, if you look at their records, they're both kind of relatively young, undefeated fighters. Like, they're kind of similar, 16-1 and 10-0. Okay, you know, here and there, whatever the fuck. But Tatsuro Taira has just fought so much more in the UFC, not so much fucking more, it's not night and fucking day, but it's significant to say the fucking least, especially when he's facing ranked level of competition for a bit of multiple fights now, and he was prepping for a guy that's been ranked, and a guy in Amir Albazi who is gonna bring a very wrestling heavy approach to his fucking fights, and Hyung Sung Park is about to kind of do a similar fucking thing. I think he's a different enough opponent though to where it is a significant kind of preparation change you gotta make, but at the end of the day, he is primarily a grappler, and I feel like we're gonna see a lot of fucking intense scrambles here. It is gonna be high-paced grappling on display. But my prediction here, if I haven't already said it, is going to be Tatsuro Taira. That's my fucking prediction. I do like this fight. I feel like it is going to be exciting. Both these guys are elite fucking finishers representing the fucking West. Tatsuro Taira, man. I like this guy. I think he's funny as fuck on the mic. I think that he's entertaining as hell in the cage. I think he's very well-rounded. He's an elite grappler. He's got really good control. He's got the reach advantage for this fight specifically. And again, he's been racking up a bit of experience now at the higher level for the flyweight division. Now, if there's any weaknesses in his game, I feel like he might be the bit of the less explosive fighter here. There was a world where maybe Park, maybe he does kind of crack him, maybe he does make him uncomfortable on the feet, or maybe he is the better grappler, but I just don't think that's the case. I think both these guys are fucking high-level finishers at the end of the day. Like, Tatsuro Taira, most of his wins are via finish, and the same thing especially goes for Park, because at the end of the day, 9 out of 10 of his wins, I believe, are via stoppage, man. He's got a lot of momentum and confidence on his side, and this is a short notice underdog fucking spark of lightning kind of vibe we have here. There is a world where he can pull off this fucking win, but I think Tatsuro Taira is going to be too much. I think he's the better grappler. I think that he's probably going to be developing a lot in the striking department after the Royval fight, and yeah, Park has the reach disadvantage. He's a bit less proven at that ranked elite level. There's a possible gas tank issue concern for 5-rounders, and again, this is a 5-rounder, which Taira, he's prepped for a couple now. He's prepped for 1 or 2. He's had a couple. This is his 3rd fucking Apex main event, by the way. That's fucking crazy disrespect for Tatsuro Taira. Get this guy at the fucking Apex, man. He's racking up finishes and putting on fun fights. Very people forget man kind of fighter here, man. But we're dealing with a high-level grappler versus a high-level finishing artist here, man. I love this fight. I just wish we could have gotten it a couple of years down the road. But South Korea's on fire here, man. And if Kaya Sakura manages to get a win at UFC 319 and Tatsuro Taira wins here, man, like, Japan's on a roll as well. So I love this fight. It's just not the main event you want to see. And we all know it, right? Like, this isn't really a main event level worthy fight. It is what it fucking is. If you saw this as like the feature prelim of a pay-per-view, you'd be like, oh my fucking God. You'd have the Looney Tunes hard eyes. You're like, I fucking love this scrap. But ultimately, I'm going to be going with Tatsuro Taira here, man. This is the main event we're fucking getting. So it is what it is, brother. So moving on now to the blanks of the card. We got the underdog of the card, the locks of the card, the wild card of the card, and the card rating here, man. All of them are a bit self-explanatory, but I'll get to it as I get to it here, man. So starting off with the underdog of the fucking card here, man. Which one of my underdog picks am I the most confident in? So I went with Magny at around a plus 180. I went with Gore around a plus 180, the same fucking thing. And I went with Nick Klein that I said was a pick of odds, but now that I've kind of refreshed it a bit here, and to be honest, I'm recording this segment a couple of days later, he's at a plus 130. So he's another underdog here, so I'm going with 3. I'm tempted to go with Klein, but I'm going to go with fucking Magny. I feel like one of these guys, or maybe even fucking 2, is for sure going to fucking win. I have a pretty good underdog hunch. So one of them I feel like is going to get it done. But that's the fucking question, right? Is which one fucking is it? But I'm going to be going with Magny to get a fucking veteran win here, man. I mean, it's a veteran fucking loss regardless. He's facing fucking Zaleski dos Santos. But Unk versus Unk, man. I'm going with Magny. And moving on now to my locks of the card. Which of my picks am I the most fucking confident in? Which of these fighters do I believe is not fucking losing here, man? And I've been doing pretty good with the locks this year. But this card, I mean, there's a lot of big favorites, but there's a lot of risky picks as well. Even the big favorites, I don't feel too comfortable declaring as a fucking lock. But I'm going to go with Tatsuro Taira as 1. I would have called him 1 against Amir Albazi anyways. I actually had originally recorded a fucking segment for the Amir Albazi fight. That's why I'm here now. But I'm going to be going with Tatsuro Taira to win this one. He's an even bigger favorite now, and I just like this matchup a bit more for him. I feel like he's just a really good prospect to invest in for the fucking division. Very well-rounded. And I know the same exact thing goes for Hyung-Sung Park, but I'm just going to be going with Taira as a lock here. That might be fucking too crazy to say, but I'm going to be trusting in it. I'm going to say Kevin Vallejos here as well, but that's kind of for the fuck of it. I'm going to be honest. I could totally see Danny Silva winning. I'm kind of pushing it with this one. I'm going to go with the Argentinian Kevin Vallejos. And this is fucking tough. Even Rinya Nakamura. I could see Nakamura fucking choking. And even like Rafael Estevam, he's a favorite, but I could see him losing his fucking O. I'm only going to go with 2 locks for this card. I am not very, I mean, it's weird, right? I'm like confident in my picks for this card, but for some reason, declaring the word lock on it, like there's a bit of pressure here. So those are going to be my only 2 here, man. And again, Vallejos and Taira, I'm kind of shaky about it, but those are going to be my 2 locks of the card. Now, moving on to the wild card of the card, who's somebody that's kind of being overlooked, kind of a bit overshadowed. Not a lot of people are going with him, but they could really shake up the rankings or the division or get a big fight next if they end up winning this one. It's going to be Elvis Brener for me. I think Elvis Brener is somebody who's sitting at a bit of a plus 250 range as an underdog. I feel like he could totally end up getting a win there. I think it's going to be a brawl. I think it's going to be a crazy fucking scrap. Maybe he gets a finish on the feet or on the ground. Who the fuck knows? I think Elvis Brener is the wild card or the card here. And what is the card rating? What am I going to rate this 1 to 10? I'm going to give this a 2 out of 10, but with some love. If that makes sense. Okay, I'm going to give this a 2 out of 10. as someone who, I really can't stand the fucking Apex, there are some bangers on here. Rebecki versus Duncan is great. Brener versus Ribovics is fantastic. The main event is a great fucking scrap. Silva versus Vallejos is a banger, okay? Vieira versus Gore, that's fucking fantastic. The thing about these fights, though, man, I mean, they took the Pulyaev fight off the here, which sucks, but the thing about this, though, there is no name value. This is kind of, if, you know, you watch a few of the fights, you kind of know relatively a lot of the fighters here. This is not the card you want to show your fucking friend, because the thing about these Apex cards with a lot of the relatively unknown fighters, a lot of the unranked, we have one ranked fight on the entire thing, and it's the main event, and one half of them is ranked. There's one ranked fighter on the entire card. It's crazy to say. And these cards end up being absolute fucking bangers. They're finish after finish after finish and war after war after war. Or they end up being absolute stinkers. Absolute fucking... Like look at Gamrot versus Klein. That was a very shit Apex card, okay? So they're very hit or miss. And even the ones that are a fucking hit, like, they shouldn't have even been that weak in terms of the name value to begin with, but they fucking were. And this card is no exception, because the main event's kind of carrying. Like, I can appreciate these fights. I'm giving it a 2 with some love, because I think there's going to be a lot of finishes. I think there's going to be a lot of fucking wars here. I really do like a lot of the matchmaking for this card, but it makes me question, like, why a lot of these matchups couldn't be on fight nights in front of a fucking crowd. They deserve to be. I'm just not a fan of the Apex. I know that if this fight night specifically was put in front of a crowd, they wouldn't be able to sell barely any fucking tickets, because that's just what Apex cards are, man. Like, the main event, very rushed together, and it's not relatively too high of stakes here. I mean, it's a flyweight top 5 fight, which is crazy, but you know what I mean? Like, the switcher from Albazi, they were going to have Waldo Cortez fucking Acosta stepping in here, which, I mean, could have been fun depending on the opponent, but it is what it fucking is here, man. I'm going to give this a 2 out of 10. It'll be fun, probably, but if you're debating going out with your buddies, you know, spending a little extra time with your girlfriend, you know what I mean, or whatever the fuck it may be, maybe do that instead of watching. Like, that's this kind of card, or maybe not. Maybe just stay in and fucking watch. Again, it's going to be entertaining, but I'm going to give it a 2 out of 10 here, man. And that's going to be it for this video, dude. I appreciate y'all a lot. Thank you so very much for making it this far in the Yap session. I really appreciate y'all, man. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know your predictions. Let me know your locks. Let me know your underdog at the card. Let me know whatever the fuck is on your mind in the comments below. I'd absolutely love to hear it. So all the smoke here. Really appreciate y'all, man. Let me know your opinions in the comments below. Thank you so very much for giving me your time and attention to making this far in the video. It means the fucking world to me. So please give this video a like. Please hit subscribe. I'd really fucking appreciate it. But regardless, thank you so very much for making it this far. All the smoke here. Hope you have a good one, boys, and I will see you all next time.